If you've told yourself that the new year is going to give you the push you need to start working towards your goals, then the reality is that nothing is going to change. I'm Salim, a final year med student, and I've also done an undergrad and postgraduate degree, and in recent years have made solid progress in my academic and personal life. But it wasn't always like this. A few years ago, I'd set goals and start strong, but it never lasted. I'd give up, convincing myself that the next new year would be the fresh start that I needed, and every year I'd repeat this same cycle, waiting for January to magically fix things. If this sounds like you, then I've got 3 honest and effective pieces of advice to help you break out of this cycle so that you can start making real progress towards your goals. So first, I have a question. Why are you waiting for the new year to start working on something new? Is it because it feels like a fresh start, or because you think the new year will create the perfect conditions for change? This is a mindset I see all the time. People waiting for this perfect moment to start. They believe that a new year means a new mentality, but it ends up having the opposite effect, because waiting for the perfect time adds unnecessary pressure, where when you finally do start, you'll feel like you have to keep everything perfect to maintain that momentum and image of perfection. And let's be honest, when was the last time you did something perfectly? I know I haven't, so there's no logic in believing that a new year would magically change that. And if anything, aiming for perfection isn't just unrealistic, it's unfair to yourself, because it creates this massive wall that feels impossible to climb. So instead of aiming for perfection, focus on progress. And the best way to do that is by creating an iterative system. And what do I mean by this? So instead of focusing on fixed goals, shift towards focusing on a system that adapts as you grow. For example, if your goal is to study 5 days a week or exercise every day, an iterative system means starting smaller, like studying for 30 minutes or exercising for 20 minutes a day. Once you've built that habit, you level it up. The next iteration could be studying for an hour and a half or exercising for 30 minutes a day. This is exactly what I did when I started going to the gym. I didn't try to lift the heaviest weights or train for an hour on my first day. I started small, went with friends because it was more enjoyable, and gradually built up over time. And when I started studying, I didn't force myself to study for 8 hours on day 1. I started with an hour or 2, and as I got better at focusing, I worked my way up to longer sessions. I've talked about this before as progressive overload outside of the gym, where you gradually increase what you do so that your comfort zone expands without overwhelming yourself. This works because it's personal to you, where even if you have an off day, it's okay, because the focus is on your trend over time and not perfection in the moment. And it helps that it's simple and not complicated, because it's much easier to start small and build rather than trying to do everything perfectly at once. And now the next piece of advice builds on this first point, so I have another question. If you could describe yourself in 1 sentence, what would you say? Would you say something like, I'm a procrastinator, but I work hard? Or maybe something like, I'm someone who struggles to stay consistent. This might just feel like a harmless way to describe yourself, but the problem is, when you identify yourself in a certain way, like as a procrastinator, it becomes harder to break out of that identity. You reinforce it. And this matters because people focus too much on what they're doing when they try to change their life. They think it's all about working harder, studying more, or exercising every day. But in reality, it's not just about what you do, it's about who you're becoming. James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits, the idea that you don't just want to study more, you want to become a focused, disciplined student. You don't just want to lift weights, you want to become someone who takes care of their physical and mental health. So apply this by focusing on your identity. Shifting your mindset to focus on who you are makes a massive difference. Your actions will begin to feel natural, reducing your need for constant willpower or discipline, which often burns out over time. This shift makes it so that instead of feeling like you're forcing yourself to do things, they become habits you do automatically, just like brushing your teeth. And this works perfectly with the first piece of advice because it helps you build sustainable progress. For example, rather than just saying you want to study for 3 hours every day, which is a great specific target, you also start to see yourself as the kind of person who studies consistently. Combining this identity focus with the iterative system gives you a powerful framework for both psychological and practical growth, helping you build a stronger connection between your habits and who you want to become. So ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be this year? Maybe it's a disciplined student, a healthier version of yourself, or even someone who takes small risks. Once you're clear on that identity, the actions will follow naturally without feeling like a chore. But now a problem that most people don't pay enough attention to is that no matter how hard you work on your goals or how consistent you are with building habits, if you aren't sleeping well and find yourself waking up feeling tired, then it's going to have a massive impact on your productivity throughout the day. So one of the most important things to focus on and build as part of your identity is to become someone who has a good sleep routine routine and someone who wakes up feeling full of energy. I went from someone who'd wake up feeling low on energy to someone who consistently wakes up feeling refreshed. And in this video here, I'll talk about the 3 best things that immediately helped me with this. So if you want simple and actionable habits that are easy to integrate into your routine for a stress-free morning and more productive day, then click the video to learn more.